Muslims and Quran. The notorious Dutch parliamentarian Geert Wilders, I'm sure everybody has heard his name, he certainly comes to my mind, who argues that the Quran is fascist. And I really haven't seen anything fascist in Quran. And he says it must be banned from Holland, so I thought I'll mention it. Additional questions are raised about the significance of the scripture in an environment of significance of any scripture actually in an environment where there are dedicated atheists like Richard Dawkins, the Oxford biologist who denies the existence of God, let alone the acceptance of the book, the author of which has been claimed to be God. The Islamic priesthood, although not supported by the Quran, has undoubtedly added another dimension to the disorder and confusion with the dogma of their own design through various sectarian ideologies which have nothing or very little to do with Quranic teachings. With the current meltdown of economic system around the globe, where both the socialist economic system as well as the capitalist extremism have failed, it's about time that an interest-free economic system based on Quranic teachings be tried, rather than having a doubt about the relevance of Quran. While the natural selection or the fittest to survive is a predominant trait in the animal world, now I'm just touching upon our good old friend Darwin here. The concept of altruism is an important principle of the Quranic teachings which sets the human apart from all the other living beings. In view of that, Quran very correctly emphasizes on the superiority of the humans over all other living beings. The Quran provides the basic and unalterable reference encouraging to strive for an active struggle for spiritual and moral perfection. As indicated earlier, the basic message of the Quran is justice, peace, and equality for all. What part of it can possibly be considered irrelevant today? In case it needs to be replaced with something else, what exactly would that be? And how its continuity and impartiality be assured? The Quran is the only constitution or the Charter of Rights that has been around for a long time, and it is as relevant today as it ever has been. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
If there are any questions, I'll be happy to.
A couple of short questions. Please introduce us.
Yeah, my name is Muhammad Idris. I'm from Egypt. You mentioned that the Quran actually just introduced an ethical guidelines, but not specifics. I tend to disagree because, like if you go to the laws of inheritance, then you find that the Quran is very specific. And the one example that you mentioned about the cutting of the hand, it is very specific because if you mention just a little cut, in Arabic you can use a different word which does not give any ambiguity about what God really means, because God does not really lack the words in order to be specific, in order to make it very clear in our minds what He means. The other example, the beating of the wives, because again, it could be used, can introduce a different word, like daraba, and then if you wanted a little slap, can say darban khafifan, for example. Can use. God does not lack that. Why did He leave the ambiguity here? So maybe can you give me why?
No, that's a good question. God has no shortage of words, but maybe we have the shortage of understanding. Maybe it's our problem. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, I am not an Arabic-speaking person. I do not speak or understand or read Arabic. I just go through all the translations in English. I don't have to be an Arabic-speaking person as a Muslim to be a Muslim. In fact, there are only 20% Arabic-speaking people among all the 1.2 billion people. And these things I mentioned, my explanation is taken from other scholars' books, and I have given the references. You are probably, you might like to write to them, discuss with them, I don't know. But that's my understanding, and I'm only portraying what I understand and what I read.
Yeah, this is the dilemma of the Arabic-speaking person, because, you know, if I'm not familiar with Arabic word...
We'll come down to, sorry, this was one of the questions. You had 3 questions. What was the first question? You had a couple of other questions.
Let him come back to...
Okay, all right, we can do it.
Thanks very much.
Okay.
Mine would be an addendum to his.
Okay.
If God is the author of holy books, why is there such why do you need write in the so that it would be conviction to the dullest person, such as myself? You know, this is what gets me.
Actually, that is where the challenge lies. There is nothing difficult to understand about it. If I can understand, I'm sure everybody else can understand. That's the way I look at it. There is a challenge. There is a challenge in life. And there is a right and wrong. It's like going to university for 4 years, and if you do certain things that you're supposed to do, then you get the diploma or the degree at the end of the 4 years, not before that and not without that. Now, the life is not going to end when we die. Actually, the real life is going to start when we die, because there's a lengthier and a part, and there's forever. We are just preparing ourselves for the rest of the life in our earlier life, which is only maybe 50, 60, 70, 80, or 90 years. So we have to make an effort to understand. If I can make an effort with all the other things I have, I'm not a religious man, I'm not a religious scholar, I've got lots of other things, I make an effort to understand and try to bring it down to something simple that I can share with my friends. I suppose we can all do that. I don't know if that satisfies your question, but we can always try again.
Well, it's not a game. When there's so many interpretations, it makes it a game.
Last question.
I think you started with the ethical relevance of Quran. I think the major thing is what is in Quran is the conception of sin. Mean that again, if you do wrong, hell, right, you go to heaven. So this is all revolves around the conception of sin. I mean, ethical. If we just make it short, what you were saying. That's my question.
I wouldn't necessarily agree with that. You could put it that way. You could say, yes, if you do that, you go to paradise or something good, something better. And if you don't do that, you go to hell. It is not as simple. Okay, that could be the final abode for some of us, I don't know. But that is not what it is. It is basically, it gives you lots of ethics. It tells you a lot about ethics and morality. And choice is ours, which we take that, we accept that, or we reject that. I don't think the whole book is about hell or heaven, but there's a mention, yes. But if you think you want to kind of concentrate on one particular thing that you have in mind, I have Quran here. You can always later on show me what verse that you want to discuss. We can discuss that.
Thank you very much, Chaudry sir.
Thank you.
I think we are doing pretty good with keeping an eye on the time, because I know Pervez Saab, after our seminar, we have also arranged a buffet downstairs. So